A huge winter storm is coming to the United States today and tomorrow, and this is set to bring a ton of snowfall from the Central Plains back into the East Coast. In addition to that, we are expecting significant ice accumulation, a little bit of severe weather, and also the most powerful Arctic blast that we've seen all winter long. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that's going to be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and our winter storm is already forming. Some light, moderate, and even at times heavy snowfall is filling into areas like Kansas, Missouri, northern Arkansas, and Oklahoma, and this is only going to grow in size as we get closer to lunchtime today and then eventually into the afternoon hours, with a surge of moisture coming out of the Pacific Ocean and a batch of energy coming over the Rocky Mountains. Now, over on the East Coast, things are quiet for right now. It's beautiful weather. We have clear skies. It's a bit chilly out there. However, we are going to be dealing with a big storm system as we go into tomorrow, with showers, thunderstorms, and even at times heavy snowfall along parts of the East Coast. Now, this winter storm is going to be huge. I know we've been talking a lot about huge winter storms recently. This is about the fourth or fifth one this month, and most of them have come only over the last 10 days, but this one's also going to be gigantic. We are talking about winter storm warnings from Kansas all the way back through Kentucky and Tennessee, winter weather advisories in effect across many areas in Nebraska, even into North Texas, and also into northern Mississippi. We also have winter storm watches, which at the time you're watching this forecast may have already been upgraded to winter storm warnings back over in Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, and as well as Delaware, where we are anticipating as much as 6 to 12 inches of snow and as well as significant ice accumulation. And before we talk more about this winter storm, I do want to mention, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are about 20,000 subscribers away from 1 million. We do daily weather forecasts, and we also might be live later today covering this winter storm, so make sure you are subscribed down below. So right now, we do have some light to moderate snowfall that is falling across Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and southwestern Missouri. It's relatively light to moderate for the time being, but it will intensify around and just after lunchtime. Freezing rain, sleet is falling across most of central and eastern Oklahoma, even back into north central Texas, including the Wichita Falls area. By lunchtime, that snow is going to get a lot heavier around areas like Joplin, Missouri, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in far northern Arkansas, where there will be upwards of 2 inches of snow per hour that is falling in these areas, as it is a fluffy snow. In addition to that, the snow to rain ratios for today are very high, which means that the more snow we see falling out of the sky will accumulate very quickly with how cold it is out there today. Eventually, as we get closer to 2 to 3 o'clock, that heavy snowfall stretches to the east, is covering most areas in southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, and as well as northern Oklahoma. Freezing rain continues to be a problem around areas like Little Rock, Arkansas, all the way back through Oklahoma City, and even into parts of North Texas, including areas just to the north there of Dallas-Fort Worth. Eventually, as we get closer to sunset, that heavy snow is moving into western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee. Freezing rain continues across Arkansas, Oklahoma, and as well as even western Tennessee. And then eventually, as we go into the overnight hours, the snow is going to become lighter, meaning that this system will actually be weakening as it moves into the Ohio Valley, but it will re-intensify as it gets to the East Coast. But what this means for the Ohio Valley is that we're going to be dealing with a lot less snowfall than areas like the Central Plains, and the system is also going to be moving much faster. So I think most areas here in the Ohio Valley at most will be seeing around 6 inches of snowfall. Eventually, as we get closer to tomorrow morning around sunrise, notice how we're not really talking about much rain or snow back over in the northern half there of the Dixie Alley. The snow amounts are going to be much lesser across eastern Kentucky and as well as eastern Tennessee, with only light snowfall happening. And then eventually this system will redevelop into a big winter storm as we go into Wednesday afternoon back over in North Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland, where we could see some very significant snowfall across those areas during the evening hours and eventually into the early overnight hours. Also, with all this being said, we do have a risk of severe weather tonight across the Gulf Coast, with an isolated tornado threat and damaging winds being possible. And then also tomorrow, there will be a threat for some showers and thunderstorms down in areas like Florida. However, the risk for severe weather at this time is very low to zero. For those in the Central Plains, the snowfall forecast has really not changed much. We are still talking about a widespread area today, between 6 to 12 inches of snow from central Kansas back into far western Kentucky, just outside of Mayfield, Kentucky. We will be talking about some areas, though, especially in southwestern Missouri, as high as 10 to 15 inches of snowfall. I wouldn't rule out an isolated location today getting up to 18 inches of snow. That is the magnitude of this winter storm. So some areas that I want to talk about here, like Joplin, I think your forecast is going to be right around 9 to 12 inches of snowfall. Tulsa, I would say, is going to be right on the cusp of the heaviest snowfall, but I think most of those areas around Tulsa will see around 5 to 8 inches of snowfall. Back over near Kansas Kansas City, we already saw snow last night. There is more to come. I would say 3 to 5 inches for those areas. And then back over near Memphis, a coating to 2 inches. If you're in northern Arkansas, anything from about 2 to 3 inches all the way up closer to 10 inches in far northern Arkansas. And then also back over in central Kentucky, most of those areas are forecasted to see right around 3 to 5 inches of snow. And then anywhere across Tennessee, we're talking anywhere from about a coating up to about 4 inches of snow if you're on the north or west side of the state. And again, if you are in southern Missouri or even southeast Kansas, we are talking about, again, significant snowfall accumulation. We could have, again, several areas, I think, here in southern Missouri that get us as high as 15 to 18 inches of snow today. It is going to be quite the winter storm, which is why, again, I think we may be going live later today. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Now, in terms of the ice accumulation, many areas across Oklahoma will at least see around a glazing up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. We aren't talking about power outage level ice accumulation, but this will cause travel impacts on the roadways. Areas like North Texas, most of Arkansas, and even back over into Mississippi, we could be talking about a little bit of ice accumulation, which again will likely close schools across many of these areas for both today and as well as tomorrow. So again, make sure you're taking it slow out there if you have any travel intentions today or even tomorrow. This ice could be on the ground, by the way, all the way through Friday in some of these areas due to the fact that below freezing temperatures are expected through Thursday and Friday for many areas in the southern plains. Now, we've been on an emotional roller coaster on the East Coast when it comes to this winter storm. Many forecasts were put out there of 12 to 24 inches of snow in a very large area. We really never talked about that very much because I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in it. Now we are back to reality, which I think this is what we're going to be talking about in terms of snowfall accumulation. The most significant of the snow will be in a very localized area in northeast North Carolina and as well as eastern Virginia and back up into southern Maryland, where we could be talking about 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, but we will still have a potential for a coating to a few inches across a large area here in North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and even into southern New England. I just don't think it's going to be nearly as significant. Now, this is a bit of a closer view. Again, notice how small this area is going to be back over near areas like Virginia Beach. We could have a few locations around a foot of snow as we go into late tomorrow and eventually into early Thursday. So definitely make sure that you're prepared for upwards of a foot of snow in some of these areas. Now, there could still be some minor changes to where the majority of the snowfall falls because the winter storm is forming right now. Once that all forms, I think we'll have a much better idea by later today exactly where the worst of the snow is, since it's going to be such a small scale system. This is what the NAM 12K model shows, which does indicate a slightly more northern track, so we could see some last minute changes to the forecast. And if that does happen for some reason, North Carolina wouldn't see as much snowfall. Maryland, New Jersey, and as well as Delaware would see a lot more snowfall, and even southern New England would get in on the snow as well. So there could be some last second changes. I'm not ruling it out. I would say it's about a 25% chance that a scenario like this happens, but it can't be ruled out, at least for now. And then a big cold air damming event is going to come from this winter storm, which is going to lead to some significant ice accumulation across North Carolina and South Carolina. Many areas will at least see a glazing up to 1/10 of an inch of ice, but we will have a few locations, I think, as high as a 1/4 up to a 1/2 of an inch of ice accumulation. So be ready for this. This could cause power outages in addition to some major travel impacts as we go into Wednesday afternoon and all the way into Thursday. Now, we are going to be dealing with one of the biggest Arctic blasts that we've seen in years across the United States, and this is what it looks like out there this morning. We have many areas in the Midwest and the northern plains 30 to 50 degrees below average, and it's only going to get worse as we go into Wednesday afternoon. Many areas, even in the central and southern plains, will be upwards of 50 degrees below average. It is unbelievable what we're seeing here, and this is going to lead to a stretch of record-breaking low temperatures on both Thursday and Friday. And we'll be talking more about this, especially in tomorrow's video, but we'll also talk a little bit about this here in just a moment with the actual temperatures. This is what it looks like as we go into Thursday morning. Again, notice how this continues across many areas in the Great Plains. It will begin to move into the Midwest and along the East Coast as we go into Friday and Saturday, but it will not be nearly as intense as what we're talking about in the Great Plains. Many areas still around 10 to 30 degrees below average, which will definitely be very chilly, and this will most likely be one of the last chances that you wear a winter jacket if you are in the southeast United States. Things will start to improve as we go into the last few days of February. So the actual temperatures, well, as we go into Wednesday morning, most areas in the northern plains will be as much as 20 to 30 degrees below zero. On the flip side, the Midwest and the central plains right around the sub-zero mark, and then all the way down towards the Gulf Coast, that is where the below freezing line will go. However, Thursday morning and Friday morning, that below freezing line will reach the Gulf Coast. And the good/bad news, depending on which side you're on here, is that we are not talking about a winter storm along the Gulf Coast. Now, in terms of the wind chills, which are your feel-like temperatures, many areas in the northern plains as much as 40 degrees below zero for a feel-like temperature as we go into tomorrow morning. By Thursday Thursday morning, we are talking about that same sort of thing, sub-zero feel-like temperatures all the way down into Texas and also across many areas in the Ohio Valley and even into the Dixie Alley. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and also make sure to click the bell icon down below. Again, we may go live later today for winter storm coverage. It is 50-50. We'll see what it looks like out there in just a few hours.